the leader in talk radio on the Internet, right here on K98Talk.com.
Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need the Debt Ninja. If you've been caught in a financial trap and need to be set free, then you need the Debt Ninja. Want to stop those harassing collection calls, start saving thousands in interest and fees, and get out of debt fast? Then you need to call the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja will find the best companies across the country that will help you consolidate all your bills into one easy payment, reduce your payments by 30 to 50%, and get you out of debt fast. If you have unsecured debt of $10,000 or more, such as credit cards, loans, or medical bills, call the Debt Ninja for a free 15-minute consultation.
Call 800-826-1246. 800-826-1246. That's 800-826-1246. Call today.
The Debt Ninja.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
All right, folks, this is Rick Robinson with you. I want to tell you about some friends of mine from a company called Security Enforcement Specialists. When I ran my security agency for 12 years, I worked with one of these partners on a daily basis. He's been involved in this agency now, and with his other partner, they do have over 30 years of experience in the private security industry. If you own a business and you need someone to keep you or your customers or residents safe, then I highly recommend contacting Security Enforcement Specialists today. Give them a call at 405-703-1796. Again, that's 405-703-1796. Again, tell them Rick from K98 Talk sent you. Like I said, if you need the help, they are here for you. So make sure that you go look them up, check them out, and see what they can do.
Wrong way. Welcome to the place.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
The Internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Wow. Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same.
I'm not ready to end the fight. I'm not ready to back down. 'Cause I've been through hell and I don't have time to go round and round and round. It's too late to turn back now. You know I wouldn't if I could. 'Cause I'm proud as hell, I can't bring myself to do what it is you think I should.
All right, folks, good evening. It's Thursday, July 14th, 2016, unless, of course, you're listening on one of the other affiliates, and in that case, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you might be. This is the Jim and Rick Show. We have a special guest who'll be with us here in just a moment. It is Mr. Steve Long, who's running for the Oklahoma House. We'll have him on. He's running as a Libertarian. We're going to bring him on in just a moment. Do have a little bit of breaking news, but before we get to that, I just want to take a moment to say, for those of you who don't know and aren't aware of what's happened in France today, our thoughts and prayers are with everyone in Nice. But we do have some breaking news to get to, so we're going to cue this up real quick. All right, folks, this just in from the K98 Talk News Desk. The Free the Delegates vote at the RNC Rules Committee has failed. That is right, folks. At this point, the Free the Delegates movement has stalled, and therefore that means we will likely be looking at either 4 years of a butthead in a pantsuit or 4 years of a butthead out of a pantsuit. I'll let you decide which one's which, because they both look and act about the same to me. All right, Miss Jen, now that we've done that, let me at least give you a second to say good evening and all that fun stuff, and then we'll bring the guest on.
Hi, well, not so fun today. I'm really kind of mad. So
yeah, it's kind of,
you know, at first you kind of get disheartened and sickened and all of that, the natural just wave of emotions when you see how horrific an attack like this was. But now I'm just really, really ticked off.
Yeah, it's just I you know, somebody in a group that we hang out with was like, I'm just gonna go put my head in the sand and come back in 4 years and see where we are.
Yeah.
If I didn't run a fledgling media company and do tons of talk shows and production work, I would probably be doing the same thing, because I can't imagine 4 years with either one of these ass clowns.
Yep.
But that's why I'm voting Johnson. It may not do any good, but I have pledged to the world I will not vote for either Hillary or Trump, so I will not be voting for either one of them. Speaking of Johnson, for those of you who aren't aware, this show, while my co-host is in Texas, this show does originate out of Oklahoma, and it was actually an offshoot of the America Off the Rails show, which is a solo show, which is Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We do have a guest with us this evening who is running for the Oklahoma House, Mr. Steve Long, who is the Libertarian candidate. for his district. We're going to bring him on right now, give him a chance to say hello to everybody, give you guys a chance to get to know who he is, what he's about. And for those of you in Oklahoma, if you happen to be listening, because we do have a pretty large contingent here, if you can vote for him, I would recommend that you do so that we can quit doing the same thing and expecting different results like we seem to do every single cycle. All right, Mr. Steve Long, how are you this evening, sir?
I'm good, Rick. How's it going?
That's kind of a loaded question tonight. It's not going very well at all, but that's okay. All right, so without further ado, for those of you who may not know, Mr. Steve Long has actually been a host here at K98 Talk. He actually started with us, when did we, what was it? We decided, 2013 was when you originally launched your show that was back then called The Outer Limits. It is now morphed into Liberty Unfiltered, and due to the political stuff, it's been on an extended hiatus, but we're going to bring you back tonight, put you back in front of a microphone, give you a chance to let some folks know more about you, what you're up to, what your plans are if you do win the election, and all that fun stuff. So why don't we go ahead and just start from the beginning? Why don't you tell folks a little bit about yourself, and we'll kind of go from there.
All right, thanks. So my name is Steve Long. I am currently running for Oklahoma State House in District 81, which is Eastern Edmond. As far as me, I'm a husband. I've got 3 kids, one of which is about to go to college. I was a military brat growing up. I was a Air Force veteran myself, or am an Air Force veteran. So I spent some time traveling. I've got a lot of strong ties to Oklahoma. I went to high school here, went to college here. My parents have lived here for a good they lived here since the early 80s. As far as political activity, I've actually been politically active in one way, shape, or form since I was old enough to vote. I started working political campaigns almost immediately. I became a libertarian in 2000, and the reason that, or what prompted me to become a libertarian is for most of that time I was a Republican, and I started to get a bad taste in my mouth for both them and the Democrats, and wasn't really sure what I was going to do, and kind of got to the point where, okay, I'm just going to not be involved at all because there's just no point and there's no voice out there. And then, strangely enough, a coworker of mine let me borrow a book of his by a man by the name of Harry S. Brown. The book was Why Government Doesn't Work. And I read that, and I was like, that was great. I need to read more of him. And so he told me the name of another book called The Great Libertarian Offer. Borrowed that from the library, and I was like, that's how I feel. That's what I am. Unfortunately, in the state of Oklahoma, libertarians haven't had much of a voice in the political process. So trying to vote that way is, until recently, was pretty much a impossibility. Now, in 2000, when I became a libertarian, I was actually in Oklahoma at the time, and that was the last time until this year that a libertarian for president was on the ballot, and I voted for the libertarian. I'm not sure what other background you want me to go into.
No, actually, that's a pretty good starting point. So let's back up for just a second. You had mentioned that you read a book that started making you feel like you align more with the Libertarian Party. Now, for those of us who have kind of come to this realization a little bit later than you, what were some of the things that you started noticing early on that made you feel like it was time for you to find a new home?
Well, at the time, it was George W. Bush running for president. It was still technically in the primary season, and it just seemed like the Republicans specifically were not offering the voice that represented me, if that makes any sense. In particular, I guess you could say the foreign policy is what kind of got it started. Dare I use the phrase warmonger? Kind of got me moving in another direction. And then the idea of the welfare state that the Republicans obviously had no interest in toning down, and then a lot of the social issues just weren't, their platform wasn't really, didn't seem like it was liberty as they mentioned. It was like the liberty they were using as a catchphrase, which is sadly a lot of the case in the Republican Party now.
All right, so folks, in case you're just joining us, this is the Jim and Rick Show on K98 Talk. We're with Mr. Steve Long, who's running for House District 81 here in Oklahoma, which covers part of Edmond. We've been getting some background into him, what makes him tick, that type of stuff. Now we're going to take things in a little bit of a different direction for a moment. What are your plans for your campaign, as far as what are the planks that you're running on? What is the message that you're trying to get out to the Oklahoma people, all that, and things like that?
Well, I'm coming out with three main planks, I guess you could call it. The first one being reform of the education system. If you've been paying attention to Oklahoma politics at all out there, you know that the education system is failing here, and neither side really has the right solution to the problem. While one side, the Democrats specifically, want to continue to throw money at the problem, we know that's not going to work because it hasn't worked in the past. We've been spending money on it, and not only has the money been getting lost somewhere, but it's not really, it's basically ineffective. The money is not fixing the issue. As with a lot of the issues that the left kind of has, their solution is money, throw money at it. Whereas in the case with the Republicans, they don't necessarily want to throw more money at the issue, but what they want is more control from the top down, as far as more federal controls. That are, just recently, Mary Fallin decided that she was going to ask for more federal aid and federal control overall. Just to be generic, I mean, they're letting people in Washington decide curriculum for people that live thousands of miles away and they don't even know. I don't think that the federal government belongs in education. So what I would suggest is not to throw money at it and not to let the government take more control over it. But number one, I would have the federal government completely out of education. They don't really have any constitutional authority to be in it. Not only that, but do you really want, Washington bureaucrats figuring out what is best for your children here in Oklahoma? And I don't think people do. I think they want people that know their kids and know the area to have more control and give more control locally. Teachers need more academic freedom because they're not educators; they're implementers of curriculum that is set by people that don't even live here. I think what we need to do is, like I said, number one, get the federal government out. I think we need to consolidate the school districts. I figure that the fewer school districts means less school superintendents to have to pay for, means less administrators, less bureaucracy, and brings the power back to like the local school boards and the teachers themselves, the people that actually do the teaching. Now, as far as funding, if you want to get into the discussion of school vouchers, that could be an option. School choice is definitely an important part of my reform ideas. I don't think people should be locked into a school just based on where they live. But yeah, so we don't need to. We don't need government control. We don't need to throw more money at it. We need real solutions by people that live here. So that would be one. The second one that I want to kind of touch on is the practice of civil asset forfeiture, which is something I think needs to go away. And what this is, if you're not familiar with it, is it's basically a practice by which the law enforcement officials are able to confiscate property based solely on suspicion of a crime. The person doesn't have to be arrested or convicted. They just have to be suspected. So that puts this person in the awkward position of having to hire a lawyer and spend lots of money and lots of time to prove that their property was not obtained by, shall we say, criminal activity. In my mind, civil asset forfeiture is legalized theft. The law enforcement agencies are reaping all of the profits from these forfeitures. So it kind of gives them this perverse incentive to confiscate property from someone that they just say, oh, they might have committed a crime, without having to prove anything was done in the first place. So this practice is done without any kind of due process, which I believe is one of the foundations of our society. So I want to. There have been some attempts in the past here in Oklahoma to reform that have failed. But I would like to go one step further. I don't want to reform it. I just want to get rid of it. I don't think they should be allowed to do that based on a hunch. I guess that's I can end that there. I can talk about some other stuff, or you want to jump in?
Well, actually, I was about to talk about the civil asset forfeiture because you touched on something. The thing that disturbs me about civil asset forfeiture is it does not only does it eliminate due process, it kind of reverses a long-standing tort issue where we have the basic understanding of innocent until proven guilty. The asset forfeiture kind of reverses that. It makes it to where basically you are deemed guilty, and therefore your property is seized until you can prove that you didn't do something illegal to obtain it. And to me, that's just disturbing. I never have understood how that not only at a state level would hold up, but I mean that's happening. It's not just here; it's happening all over the country. It seems to me there should be a federal mandate of some kind to make that stop. But even the federal law enforcement agencies do those sort of things.
Oh, they do it too, yeah.
The scary thing is I never really heard too much about civil asset forfeiture until the 80s. I mean, I was young then, but I remember... anybody remember the old show Miami Vice?
I do.
Remember how they would always, like Tubbs and Crockett would always drive around in this really cool car because it was something that they basically jacked from the drug dealers, and they could use it for undercover work, and they used drug money to buy these really cool clothes and everything else. That was the first time that I ever really saw anything about asset forfeiture. And from that perspective, it looks kind of harmless. But then you start looking into all the other people that are just completely have everything seized from them for absolutely no reason at all, other than basically wrong place, wrong time. And you have a house? Well, we think this house was purchased with drug money, so now you get to prove that it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stories out there that you hear about people driving cross country, like college students just driving across country to go to college, and they've had money, large sums of money in their car. They confiscate this money knowing in most cases that the person's not going to hire a lawyer because they can't, number one, they can't afford it. Number two, most of the lawyers won't take the case. Number three, the amount of money that was taken is probably going to end up being less than what it costs to hire the lawyer to go through the process to get your money back. So they count on this, and then they profit from these seizures. And one other interesting thing is these law enforcement agencies don't give that money to the state. They keep it to themselves. So when you see certain law enforcement agencies whose names I won't mention, but you might know who I'm talking about, are running around in parades with these fancy toys.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of that is being paid for with money from seized property.
You know, that brings up another interesting point that I was going to touch on. You, and I saw this on one of your Facebook posts, you had mentioned that one of the things that you were going to try to spearhead is not only to make civil asset forfeiture more difficult and have them actually have to prove that there was a crime committed before it happened, but that the proceeds of anything seized would actually be doled out to the state, not the individual law enforcement agencies, which I think is honestly a really good idea. I mean, if we're going to have something like civil asset forfeiture, the least we could do is make sure that when we can deem that things were done illegally, that have caused large caches of money, homes, expensive cars, whatever else, that we could put the money from those things into the state's general fund. It just makes sense to me.
Exactly. I mean, these law enforcement agencies have a budget. Why can't they work within that budget? I mean, especially here in Oklahoma, if you go and take this property and, after you've proved that this, it was gained by illegal, once you've proved they're guilty and that money is seized, then it shouldn't go into your budget. You've got a budget. That's I don't know. I guess the way they look at it is it's found money, it's mine. So
yeah, but I mean, by that same token, I mean, if police officers have the ability to do that, then I should just be able to go up to any car that's broke down on the side of the road, chain it to my car, and take it home.
Well,
and do whatever I want with it.
Logic.
Because they've kind of implemented a weird version of that whole law of the sea, where if you find it on the sea and it's derelict, you can salvage it, and they maritime law. That's kind of what I was looking for. But yeah, so I'm just kind of thinking, if they can do that, then I should be able to find one of these nice, really expensive-looking broken-down cars on the side of the road, haul it home, fix it till it runs, and make it mine. But yeah, that will never fly, because I would get in prison for stealing someone's car.
Well, and here's the thing: here in Oklahoma, as well as probably everywhere else, the Republicans and the Democrats and the state legislators are letting this go by. The majority of them. I really think that people in Oklahoma are just kind of getting frustrated with the fact that things have gotten so bad in the state, and the people running the state government over there on 23rd and Lincoln are not presenting any viable solutions. They're just making matters worse. So I think the people are ready for a new voice. So it's just I don't know, fruitful that it just happens to come at a time when the Libertarians got on the ballot here in Oklahoma.
All right, well, believe it or not, we are already at the bottom of the hour, so we have got to take a really quick break. Now, I'm not sure at this point if there was anything else that you wanted to touch on. We can extend your segment for a few minutes past the break if you want, or at this point, we can make a clean break. I will leave it up to you because you're the guest.
You can go on break.
All right. All right, folks, you are listening to the Jen and Rick Show, and my co-host, as usually happens when I bring on somebody from Oklahoma, has been really silent and probably giving me an evil eye because she has very little to add to the conversation. But when we come back, we'll finish up with Steve and then move on to maybe some international topics. So hopefully she'll have something to add so she can stop staring at me, wishing she could stab me.
Hey, I'll be in Oklahoma in 2 days.
I know, right? We will be right back, folks. Don't go away.
Oh, you know I wouldn't if I could, 'cause I'm proud as hell. I can't bring myself to do what it is you think I should.
The leader in talk radio on the internet, right here on K98Talk.com.
Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need the Debt Ninja. If you've been caught in a financial trap and need to be set free, then you need the Debt Ninja. Want to stop those harassing collection calls, start saving thousands in interest and fees, and get out of debt fast? Then you need to call the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja will find the best companies across the country that will help you consolidate all your bills into one easy payment, reduce your payments by 30 to 50%, and get you out of debt fast. If you have unsecured debt of $10,000 or more, such as credit cards, loans, or medical bills, call the Debt Ninja for a free 15-minute consultation.
Call 800-826-1246. 800-826-1246. That's 800-826-1246. Call today.
The Debt Ninja.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever
Now time to go round and round and round. It's too late to turn back now. You know I wouldn't if I could, 'cause I'm proud as hell. I can't bring myself to do what it is you think I should.
Roadside
All right,
assistance,
folks, we are
towing,
back.
and
We are
rental
live.
coverage
This
are
is Jen and
all
Rick on
included.
K98
Don't
Talk,
wait
and
for
we
the
have
next
with us
repair.
Mr.
Make
Steve Long
one
running for
free
House
call
District
right now to
81
see
here
if
in
you
Oklahoma.
qualify. If your
We're
vehicle
gonna
is less
get
than
back
12
into
years
the
old,
thick of it
has
and
less
let
than
him finish
130,000
giving
miles,
the
even if
folks
it's
that are
out of
listening,
warranty,
whether it
paying
be
for
on
car repairs can
iHeartRadio,
become a thing
Stitcher,
of the past.
FM
Call us right
Player,
now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get
AMFM247.com,
protection
and so many
and
places
no
that suddenly
more
I can't
repair
remember half of
bills.
them.
Call
And no matter what,
800-696-1030.
we're on like
Again,
all
800
different times throughout the day. So again, good afternoon, good evening,
That's
good morning, wherever you are.
800-696-1030.
And Mr. Long, so I can stop drowning here. Let's get back to your campaign.
1030.
Well, I was going to mention one more blank, if you want to call it that, and that's targeting what is referred to as corporate welfare, or you can call it corporate tax credits. And so what this is tax credits are given to corporations in an attempt, use that term loosely, to bring more jobs to Oklahoma by bringing more businesses to Oklahoma. Problem is, number one, the purpose of these tax credits, which, like I said, is to bring more business and more jobs to Oklahoma, isn't working. It's not doing what it was intended to. Number two, it creates an uneven playing field for small businesses.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business.
So we just need to get rid of all of these tax credits and create a level playing field for business. That's really all I've got to say about that. But generally speaking, as far as running as a libertarian, now I will say I don't speak for all libertarians. Not all libertarians agree with each other on everything. The Libertarian Party does have a platform. But generally speaking, I believe the main goals of the Libertarian Party and any Libertarian candidate running for office is to kind of shrink the size of government, get rid of government waste, true fiscal responsibility, and then almost as important, if not more important, is ensure equality under the law, true liberty. Nobody has the right to every property. And I think, like I said, I think it's time for a new voice in the political process. I mean, my entire life, we've been told in one way or another that you have to vote for a Republican or you have to vote for a Democrat, and it's just been that way in this country for decades. I mean, probably going all the way back to when the country was founded, just about. But as you can see, we've been trying the Republican or Democrat way for years and years and years and years, and obviously something isn't working. So, how long do you try futility until enough is enough? Like I said, I think it is time, and people are ready for a new voice in the state legislature and beyond. And I believe libertarians can be that voice. And as far as here in District 81, I believe I can be that voice.
Well, here's hoping that you get your shot, sir, because I, for one, am tired of the Pavlovian response to our election system and the fact that we keep basically living through Einstein's definition of insanity every election cycle.
Yes. You're not going to get the same results if you elect the same crap. Yeah. Garbage in, garbage out.
Pretty much. All right, folks, so we have been with Mr. Steve Long running for House District 81 here in Oklahoma. At this point, sir, I think we're going to go ahead and move on to our next topic. I do want to thank you for coming in and spending the majority of the show with us this evening, and you are welcome back anytime. All right. And I will... and as you know, because you're familiar with the system, you are welcome to download the audio, share it wherever you wish. Programming note, though, folks, I did just realize that about 60 seconds into that opening segment from the break, we had commercials kind of still running in the background because my producer, a.k.a. me, hit the wrong button. So it may have been garbled there for about a minute, but we're good now. Sorry, folks.
Have a good one, Rick.
Have a good night, Steve. All right, so, Miss Jen, let's bring you out of the shadows here. You've not said much at all.
That's all right.
So, lots of depressing things going on in the news. We basically, like I said at the opening of the show, figured out that the Free the Delegates movement got quashed. Apparently, even though we were kind of given the impression that there were a lot more folks leaning that direction, apparently only like 13 people voted to free the delegates out of all the folks that were there. And it was just crazy. And, of course, now we have Hillary and Trump both vying for screen time to talk about this incident in France, and I'm just like, look, you guys, neither one of you are currently serving in any political positions, so why are you both fighting to see who gets on the what TV show first to talk about how bad terrorism is?
Was astonished that Hillary called into Bill O'Reilly.
I was actually kind of shocked by that too, just to be honest.
I mean, also, I've been saying that Democratic candidates should go on Fox News, just like our candidates go on CNN and MSNBC. So I actually was like, I was glad that she did, but I was utterly shocked. I was like, wait a second. I thought he was playing a recording at first. And then I realized, no, wait, she's actually talking to him right now, live. Like, what is going on? You know, that was crazy. Absolutely crazy to me.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, you saw all these tweets start going out when Trump was on with Greta first. I happened to have it up and running while I was getting squared away from coming home from work. And then they rolled straight into O'Reilly, and he was back on with O'Reilly. And all of a sudden, I started seeing these tweets popping up about Donald Trump already on TV talking about this, and the bodies are still in the streets. And then not 30 minutes later, here's Hillary Clinton doing the same thing. So I started finding all the tweets that I could that had said that or had been retweeted, and I was like, it's just proof that both of them suck. Hashtag that is all. Right.
No, there was a whole bunch of that, and then all of a sudden she's calling in, and I was cracking up. That was so great. But all of this is just, it's so sad. This kind of attack, I mean, all attacks are awful, but this is kind of a new type, I guess. Mowing down pedestrians, celebrating Bastille Day in France. And for people that don't really know, I mean, it's their Independence Day. Came not too long after ours. And they do much of what we do. They enjoy big group celebrations. They have fireworks. There's music. There's just, you know, in general, just kind of a community closeness and get-togethers to celebrate all of this stuff, you know, to celebrate all together. And so it's one of those things that you just go, oh my gosh. So any time that the Western world has events like this, like, we're just always going to have to be on the watch now, I guess. I mean, we've allowed it to spin out of control so far to where they literally have access to every part of the Western world, and they're breeding them more and more constantly online and indoctrinating anyone that will listen. So this is unfortunately not going to go away anytime soon.
Sadly, I believe you're correct, and as much as I've been trying not to put the tinfoil hat on, I just can't help it. I honestly, I mean, this actually hurts to say, and I'm still not breaking my promise. I'm not voting for the guy. But the one thing that I will say that I heard him say right tonight on O'Reilly, I thought the fact that he decided to postpone his Veep choice and even stand down from 60 Minutes to give them an opportunity to cover this. I was actually surprised that he made the announcement that he was going to do that because it's not like him. One thing that I do like that he did say was that as far as he is concerned, he's starting to feel like at this point we are at war, and it's more of a World War scenario than anybody wants to admit. And as scary as that is to think, I'm not so sure he's wrong.
Well, right. And I do think I absolutely agree with you. It was the right move to make, to postpone the announcement and definitely to let go of the 60 Minutes interview. And I thought it was ridiculous. I mean, let's hate on him for things that are legitimate to hate on. Same thing with any politician, I feel like. Let's say job well done when they do something that is legitimately good or right, and let's not just hate to hate just because we don't like them. I mean, whatever, you can do that if you want. I just think it's silly to and I feel like it's kind of the leftist type thing to do. It's what they do to every Republican and conservative, is that no matter what you do or say, nothing is okay. And they can't even admit when you're making a good point or when you are right about something. So that drives me insane. So I was annoyed with how much there was from the right, in the Never Trump crowd, which we're a part of, that were, hounding him for the cancellations and the postponement and trying to spin it into making it about himself. And maybe he was. I still don't think it was the wrong move to make.
Yeah, and that's a good point because, there have been a handful of times when I felt I've had to give credit where credit was due. And it's funny because I'll actually be attacked by folks that are usually supportive of me. And then I actually have Trumpers who'll come onto my timeline and be like, I appreciate the fact that you did that, even if you don't like the guy.
Well, for instance, after the memorial service, or during the memorial service, Bush was holding his wife's hand and he was holding Michelle Obama's hand. And as they were playing, I believe it was, I can't even remember what the song was now. I thought I'd never forget. But he started swaying and kind of bouncing to the music as the choir was swelling, and it was just really just such a moving, thing. And he was singing it and swaying and kind of bouncing, and the social media just tore him apart, and even actual media tore him apart, and it was inappropriate, and it was this, and he's dancing and smiling at the slain officers' memorials. And Donna Brazile, who don't know that I've ever agreed with her on a single word she's ever written or spoken, actually tweeted out and said he was feeling the spirit, leave him alone. And so that's one of those instances where I give credit where it's due, and I say, good for you. And we can agree on this instance. So I just kind of feel like that in general, that there's a little bit too much of just hounding and hating just to do it because of who the person is, instead of acknowledging when there's actually something true or right said or done.
No, I don't know. It just goes along with the whole reason why I started all of this stuff in the first place. We have become so polarized that anymore, if we don't agree with anybody 100% of the time, we automatically assume that they're enemies. As an example, and I'm not going to name any names, in one of the groups that we're in, someone just mentioned their stance and who they're going to be voting for, and said that they would understand if, because of the fact that some folks may disagree with that stance, that if they were asked to leave the group. I don't understand why we have this mindset where just because we disagree, we can't get along. When did that become a problem? Because in America, we've always been able to disagree and still at the end of the day come together and make things better. That's part of the reason why this country is falling apart. It doesn't have so much to do with the fact that the idiots in Washington are more criminal than they've ever been, because let's face it, they've always been criminals. We're just noticing it more often. It has a lot more to do with the fact that we refuse to work together anymore unless we agree with someone 100% of the time. And that is a huge problem. Now, my issue with Trump is not that I disagree with him, it's not that, I have to be able to align with him 100% of the time. My problem with Trump is, for the first time ever, I'm looking at more of an 80-20 split, With everybody else, it's been more of at least a 51-49 where I felt like I had more in common with them and I could see where they were coming from. I can't do that with him, even though there have been rare instances where I can give him a hat tip and say, hey, I think he did a good job there. I liked what he did here. I like the fact that he's, for once, showing magnanimity when it comes to the fact that he's like, hey, this is more important, so we're not going to take up any press time to do my little thing. Like I said, he's usually got an ego the size of New York, so I was pretty surprised to see that he did that. But with me, and that's the same thing that I keep getting rammed down my throat. You're just one of those people that because you disagree with 1% of what Trump stands for, you can't vote for him even though you're 99% on the same page he is. No, trust me, I'm nowhere near 99% on the same page as Trump. Like I said, for the first time ever, it's probably 80-20 opposed.
Yeah. I just don't... I can't. This is unfortunately situations like what happened in France today and what we experienced in Dallas and in Orlando. They do bring people that are, that are not exactly for him. The way in which the left postures against everything, and then the way that some of the other people in the Republican Party, kind of how they act about it, some of our leadership. It tends to pull people to Trump. They get mad, they get angry, and they say, well, I mean, at least he's calling it what it is, and at least he's saying this or that. And that makes me mad that's who we're having to like struggle with, whether to support or not. And that these horrible atrocities that are happening at the hands of terrorists, is pushing people towards this candidate that is just a joke, quite frankly.
Dude, I still don't understand how nobody sees it, because he has been deliberately doing everything that he can to tank his campaign. Just completely tank it. I mean, saying completely outlandish, off-the-cuff things about how he could shoot people and people would still vote for him. Backpedaling on everything that he's ever stood for or supposedly stood for, coming back around to everything that he supposedly stood for, backpedaling on it again, changing his mind, saying the wall was real and then the wall was virtual and then there is no wall, there's not going to be a wall, now we're back to a wall, then we're back to the wall's virtual. My head spins from trying to keep up with the guy. And because he's yelling it loudly and proudly, everybody's like, yay, go Trump, make America great again. They don't seem to notice the fact that even he doesn't know how he's going to do it.
Right. And then we've got, the other side, a lying liar who lies, who we already know has put American lives in danger as Secretary of State. And this is what we're left with. And when you watch something like happen today, and the way that everyone's immediately upset and angry, of course, but already kind of calling like, well, we don't really know the motives. And, Islamic terror is very carefully used or not at all used. And they're calling it a truck attack. I've seen so many headlines about the truck attack. It was a terrorist attack. Say terrorist, dang it. Like, that's ridiculous. So it just makes me feel like we are going to get a whole lot of nothing done about this situation. And the world doesn't seem to have, though they get upset and though we all come together for these brief moments of tragedy and are immediately angry, it seems to die off until the next one hits and we don't actually do anything about it. And unfortunately, I think the Western world, particularly Western Europe, doesn't have the will to. And I don't know why that is. They are hit more often and more seriously than we are in the Americas. And it's right in their backyard and they're coming in droves. And I don't know why they refuse to look at this and take it seriously.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I mean, at this point, I've in between Brussels, Paris, now Nice, there have been 3 attacks, I think, in 18 months. I mean, it's
and like 11 in Europe, but 3 major attacks in France in 18 months.
I mean, so 11 overall in Europe, 3 in France alone. I don't understand at this point why they still refuse to do anything. I mean, it's like I see all these people after this attack tonight that are like, I wasn't going to vote Trump. I still don't agree with a lot of what he says, but I have to do my part to defeat terrorism. And a lot of folks, that's becoming the deciding factor. And the more these people lash out, the more likely they are to continue to push people towards Trump. And I think that's honestly what scares me most, is because I'm afraid of the direction that we're going to go in with somebody like him at the helm. Because somebody who can stand in front of the American people, in front of millions of people watching on television, and tell you that he is going, not only is he going to, but he knows they will follow orders of targeting innocent families because of those that are committing terrorist acts. And he knows that they will do it because he's the president. That Mojo Jojo joke I made about 3 months ago that doesn't seem as funny now. It's just gut-wrenching that we've gotten to this point, that we're looking at putting someone at the helm of our country who basically has told you that he's going to commit war crimes if given the opportunity.
Yes, and that on the opposite side, you've got someone who, though she is hawkish for a leftist and for a Democrat, has already been putting out just even tweets and stuff today that are just absurd about, like, we need to make sure that this isn't, ISIS isn't Islam, and, we have to be tactical and we have to be smart about our response. And I saw someone tweet, and I'm not sure who it was, but it said, when she's, make no mistake, when she says smart, she means weak. It means a non-response. It means something that is not going to have a profound effect. And everybody's opposed to getting involved over there again, and I totally understand that. But you've got Bommy McBomerson, which is what Trump could turn into, and who knows what kind of hell he can break loose. And then you've got Clinton, who we don't know will do anything ever, and will continue to be at risk, and these things will continue to happen. It doesn't seem like there's even close to a good option, in my opinion.
I mean, there's not.
And that's what's so disheartening about this entire election cycle.
And there's just really not, because, I mean, I'm just going to be completely honest for a second. Yes, I'm registered libertarian because in my state it's not really been an option before, and I want to try to do what I can to bring those type of choices to Oklahoma and anywhere else where they don't have the options that are available in a lot of other states, which I don't agree with. But I'm not, regardless of my recent interviews with libertarian candidates and the head of the National Libertarian Committee, I'm not a fan of Gary Johnson. I'm just not. There are too many things that I completely am diametrically opposed to. But again, with him, it's probably closer to 70-30 opposed as opposed to 80-20 with Trump. So to me, that right. 10% makes a big difference. I'm still diametrically opposed to both of them, but I'm about 90-10 opposed with Hillary, 80-20 with Trump, and 70-30 with Johnson. And not only that, but again, I'm trying to make sure that my state gets choices. My vote in this state honestly is not going to matter if I vote for either Clinton or Trump, because this state in 2012, 77 counties all went red. I'm pretty sure no matter what we think, that's probably going to happen again. So for everybody who's, oh my God, you're wasting your vote by voting for Johnson, you honestly don't understand how general elections work, for one, because your personal votes really don't matter quite that much because it comes down to the Electoral College. Second of all, when my state is going to go red, it really doesn't matter who I vote for. And third of all, since I may be able to use my vote to give my state choices for future elections, that's what I choose to do, and then I'm going to focus on down ballot and make sure that the folks that have more conservative leanings can hold on to the House and the Senate, which also isn't really going to be an issue in my particular state. So the only thing I can do with my vote is try to make sure that my state gets better choices so that we can hopefully eventually stop using the Pavlovian election cycles that we have. But believe it or not, we're already out of time. Wow.
Here it goes.
All right, so we're down to about a minute. I do want to make a special announcement. Miss Jessica Sanders just messaged me and let me know that since we don't currently have anything on in the 10 o'clock hour with the schedule change for the America Off the Rails show on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we now have a 10 o'clock gap. She's going to be live here in a minute with some continuing coverage of the situation in Nice, so make sure that you stay tuned for that. Don't forget, as soon as she is done, we will have the Rhino Report, and that will finish out our lineup for the night. Don't forget to tune in bright and early again tomorrow morning for God's Pure Word of Faith and the other daytime lineup stuff that we have going on. And I'll be back with you live tomorrow night right here on K98 Talk and around the world and elsewhere on terrestrial and internet-based radio stations. That's right, you can hear my annoying voice about 5 times a day now. I know a lot of you are not happy to hear that, but whatever. All right, so Miss Jen, as we always do on the way out, why don't you remind folks where they can interact with you should they choose to do so?
All right, well, you can find me at J Homestead on Twitter and JR Homestead on Facebook, and then misfitpolitics.weebly.com.
All right, folks, we are out. Got to make room for the next show. We're just gonna have to go. So,
and so, my fellow Americans,
good night.
Not what your country can do for you.